My name is Melissa Grayson, and this is the story of how one Christmas gift changed everything. It didn't start with anger. It didn't even start with jealousy. It started with my daughter, Emma, standing quietly in a room full of laughter, holding a small red box while her cousins unwrapped shiny iPads and counted wads of cash. That was the moment something inside me snapped. You see, my mother-in-law, Margot Grayson, always had a flair for favoritism. She was the kind of woman who wore Chanel lipstick to church and hosted charity auctions like royalty. And she never let me forget I wasn't one of them. But I could live with her disdain for me. What I couldn't forgive was the way she treated my daughter, as if Emma didn't belong. Christmas at the Grayson house was a page straight out of a lifestyle magazine. Towering pine trees imported from Vermont, crystal chandeliers above the dining table, and perfectly arranged place cards, even for children. We arrived at noon, as we always did. Emma, 8 years old, held tightly to the drawing she made for her grandmother, a little Christmas angel wearing a red dress, with curly hair just like hers. She was so proud. "Do you think she'll like it, Mommy?" she asked me with big, hopeful eyes. "She'll love it, sweetheart," I said, praying silently I wouldn't be proven wrong again. Margot greeted us with the same cold, brittle smile she wore every year. She kissed Emma on the cheek like one might pat a dog and handed her off to the playroom, where her 3 cousins, Caleb, Lila, and Max, were already tearing into their gifts. The moment was choreographed like a stage play. Each grandchild was called up, one by one. Margot beamed as she handed out new iPads in gold wrapping paper. "Lila, I know how much you love to draw. This one has the Apple Pencil too," she said sweetly. Max got $500 in a card. Caleb got tickets to Disney World. Then she turned to Emma. "Oh, darling," she said. "Here you go." She pulled out a tiny red box and handed it to her, the same way you might offer a cookie to a stranger's child. Emma opened it slowly. Inside was a snow globe. Cheap. Plastic. The kind you find in a gas station gift bin. It had a crack along the side. "Oh, thank you, Grandma," Emma said, holding it like it might break with the wrong breath. Her cousins barely noticed. They were already FaceTiming their friends, comparing gifts. My husband Ryan sat quietly next to me, watching, but not saying a word. That silence hurt almost as much as the slight. That night, after we drove home through the snow, Emma sat at the kitchen table with a snow globe in her hand, spinning it gently. "Mommy," she asked, "do you think I did something wrong this year?" My heart shattered. "No, sweetie. You're perfect. Sometimes people don't know how to show love the right way." But I was lying. Margot knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't just another forgotten gift. This was deliberate. Intentional. She had always treated me as if I'd trapped Ryan in some sort of social downgrade. But Emma had done nothing but love her. And this was how she returned that love. That night, I sat by Emma's bed while she slept and made a promise to myself. This would never happen again. I didn't want revenge in the traditional sense. I didn't want to yell or fight or ruin Margot's reputation. No, I wanted her to feel what Emma felt. Not with words. With silence. With heart. With truth. I called Mrs. Ramirez, Emma's art teacher at school. She'd once mentioned a student gallery in town, and I had an idea. "I want Emma to be part of it," I told her. Mrs. Ramirez was thrilled. "Her work is emotional. Raw. I think she'd shine. Over the next few weeks, Emma poured herself into a painting. She called it The Invisible Present. It showed a little girl in a red dress, Emma, holding a small, empty gift box while other children opened glowing gifts around her. In the background stood an older woman, elegant and cold, looking away. When I saw it, I cried. Do you think people will understand it? Emma asked. Oh baby, I said, holding her close. They'll understand more than you know. The gallery exhibit was scheduled for early February, on Margot's birthday. I sent her a formal invitation, gold-trimmed, addressed directly from the gallery. Special feature, young artist Emma Grayson. There was no mention of me. I wanted her to come on her own ego, not out of obligation. And she did. Margot arrived in full birthday glam, fur coat, silk gloves, and pearls gleaming under the gallery lights. She expected applause. She didn't expect the crowd. People were already murmuring in front of Emma's painting. It's so haunting, someone whispered. Do you think it's based on a real story? Margot glided through the room, until she stopped dead in her tracks. There it was. She stared at it. The little red dress. The cold woman. The look in the painted child's eyes. So empty. So alone. The room went quiet around her. Then whispers began again. Isn't that her grandmother? She's the one who gave out the iPads, right? She gave that child a broken snow globe. Margot turned to me, her face pale, lips trembling. You put her up to this, she hissed. I smiled gently. No. You did. Margot didn't say another word. She left the gallery quietly, like a ghost disappearing in daylight. I didn't expect an apology. I didn't even care anymore. Because Emma had found her voice. Through color. Through brushstrokes. Through truth. In the weeks that followed, her painting was featured in the local paper. Mrs. Ramirez submitted it for a statewide youth exhibit. Suddenly, Emma wasn't invisible anymore. And Margot, well, let's just say she started sending more thoughtful gifts after that. But it didn't matter. The damage had been done. And Emma had already learned the most powerful lesson of all. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply being seen. After the gallery night, word about Emma's painting spread. What we didn't know was that Margot's social circle had started whispering too. About the painting. About her. And in her world, image was everything. She didn't call. She didn't write. Not for weeks. Until one day in March, a black town car pulled up in front of our modest home. And there she was. Margot Grayson, wearing pearls at 9 a.m., holding a manila folder and a trembling smile. I'd like to talk, she said, not to me, but to Emma. Emma peeked from behind my legs. Hi, Grandma. May I come in? Margot asked. I hesitated. But Emma nodded. She sat stiffly at our kitchen table, like it offended her to touch anything laminate. I saw the paper, she said finally. And the painting. Emma stayed silent, her little hands curled in her lap. It hurt, Margot continued. But maybe I deserved it. A crack in the ice. Then she reached into her bag and slid a folder across the table. I've set up a trust fund for you, Emma. For college. For your art. I blinked. Why now? She looked straight at me. Because I saw what I didn't want to see in that painting. I saw myself. Emma's 9th birthday came in April. I decided to keep it simple. Just us, some balloons, and her favorite spaghetti. But Margot called that morning. I'd like to come. I'll bring something special. I wasn't sure what to expect. Gold-plated cupcakes? A hired clown? But when she walked in, she was carrying something unexpected. A blank canvas, wrapped with a red ribbon. Emma's eyes lit up. It's not finished, Margot said. Because I want us to paint it. Together. And they did. For 2 hours, Margot sat on our kitchen floor in slacks and pearls, laughing with Emma, dipping paintbrushes in pink and gold. It was clumsy and beautiful and honest. I stood in the doorway and watched, not quite trusting it, but not stopping it either. A week later, Ryan and I had dinner alone for the first time in months. I didn't know she had that in her, he said of his mother. It's like she's trying. She is trying, I admitted. But it took humiliation to get her there. He frowned. You don't feel bad about the painting? I stared into my wine. Not for 1 second. Emma spoke her truth. That's not revenge. That's healing. He nodded slowly. You're right. I wish she'd been like this when I was a kid. That's when I realized this story wasn't just about Emma. It was about generations of silence. And maybe the silence was finally breaking. In June, the statewide youth exhibit invited Emma to display her painting again, this time at a black tie gala. Margot offered to sponsor the trip. But more than that, she offered to go with us. She rented a suite for the weekend. She insisted on helping Emma pick her dress. But the moment that undid me happened at the gala dinner. The host introduced each young artist. When they reached Emma's name, she stood nervously, her small frame swallowed by a navy dress. She's amazing, someone behind me whispered. And then Margot stood up too. She's not just amazing, she said loud enough for the whole table to hear. She's brave. Braver than I ever was. Gasps. Then applause. And for the first time, I saw Margot not as a villain, but as a woman trying to make peace with her past. That Christmas, the table at Margot's mansion looked the same, sparkling, extravagant, excessive. But something was different. When it came time for gifts, she stood up and said, "This year, no one gets an iPad." The kids groaned. "But," she continued, "you each get one thing." She handed out small white envelopes. Inside, handwritten letters and old family photos, some from Ryan's childhood, some from her own. She had written a memory for each grandchild. And at the bottom of each letter, a promise. To be better. When Emma opened hers, there was a little card tucked inside. For the artist who taught me to see. A check. But not just money. It was a scholarship to a summer program at a renowned art academy. Emma hugged her. And Margot cried. Real tears. 1 year after the original painting, Emma completed a second one. She called it The Gift. This time, it showed a girl in a red dress again, Emma, but now sitting on a bench with an older woman beside her, both holding paintbrushes. The box in her lap was open, and light was coming from it. It was more than forgiveness. It was transformation. The painting won a National Youth Award. But that wasn't the real win. The real win was that Emma no longer felt invisible. And Margot, she had finally become someone worth painting beside. So what did she get? She got truth. She got a mirror. She got a second chance. But most of all, she got redemption. And sometimes, that's the greatest gift of all.